She's finally here. The mighty Narukami Ogosho, the Electro Archon, the Raiden Shogun Baal. Although I can comfortably say that most players are at least very interested in summoning for the Raiden Shogun, I wanted to go over a few reasons why I personally think that this is a banner that the majority of the player base should be pulling on regardless of if you are a new player or a seasoned veteran. This banner is absolutely stacked, and we're going to be going over exactly why it's so worth your precious primos. Like always, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave me a like and comment down below. It really does help me push into the ever-fluctuating YouTube algorithm, and if you want to see more Genshin Impact content, feel free to subscribe. I make guides, damage showcases, and commentary on all things Genshin, and would love to have you here. Alright, now on to the video. Something that can really make or break a 5-star banner is the 4 stars that are on rate up. And this go round, we might actually have one of the best trios that we've ever gotten. I think the only other banner with as good rate up 4 stars was all the way back in Albedo's banner when we had Sucrose, Fischl, and Bennett. This go round we're getting Xiangling, Sucrose, and a brand new 4-star Kujou Sara, and all 3 of these units are really looking like they're going to add a lot of value to any account. First up, everyone should already have Xiangling by completing the early stages of Spiral Abyss. However, I would argue that although Xiangling is great even with her base kit, it's actually her constellations that bump her up from an A tier to an S tier character. C1 reduces resistance to pyro damage by 15% whenever an enemy is hit by Goba. C4 increases her burst duration by a whopping 40%, and C6 gives a team-wide 15% pyro damage buff. I'm not saying that you have to pull strictly for her constellations, but they do add massively to Xiangling's overall damage potential and output, and considering she's been setting world records when paired up with characters like Childe and Ganyu, a few constellations never hurt anybody. All in all, Xiangling is an absolute godsend for free-to-play players, and often even finds herself in whale showcases because she is simply that good. Next, let's quickly go over Sucrose. Many people label Sucrose as a budget Venti or Kazuha, and in all honesty, she's an S rank in her own right. Not only is she one of the best crowd controllers in the game, but she can also swirl on every hit because she's a catalyst wielder. She can provide elemental mastery buffs to your entire team to amplify elemental reaction damage, and is currently the best Anemo battery as of 2.1 with her C1, which gives her an additional charge to her elemental skill. And if you can manage to get her all the way up to C6, you can even get an elemental damage boost to whatever element is swirled into her burst during its duration. This is really similar to Kazuha's passive. And due to the massive buffs to swirl, she's even become viable as a main damage dealer when using a full elemental mastery build. All in all, she's an extremely well-rounded unit that is often overlooked simply because we have 5-star options. But in a game like Genshin where you need 2 teams in the endgame, she's beyond valuable and can really make the difference when challenging higher difficulty content. Alright, and next let's look over Kujou Sara. Kujou Sara is looking very, very promising and might even be a new meta pick based on what we know about her kit. Since the beginning of Genshin, Bennett has stood unopposed as the definitive best attack buffer in the game, largely because he was the only attack buffer in the game. Correct me if I'm wrong down below, but looking at Genshin's character roster, while other units could lower resistances, give elemental damage boosts, elemental mastery buffs, lowering defenses, or even buffing crit rate, Bennett has been the only character to outright buff the entire party's attack stats. This makes Sara possibly one of the single greatest additions to 4-star units that we've ever had. On top of this, she will be able to provide attack buffs both through her elemental skill and her burst, meaning with proper timing and energy management, she might be able to keep that attack buff up at all times. However, because we might be able to keep this attack boost up so frequently, it may not be as big of an attack boost as Bennett's. But in longer or multiple battles like Spiral Abyss, this could be extremely valuable. And on top of this, she even looks like she might be one of the best energy batteries in the game due to one of her passives. Although it's still early and there's still a lot of testing to be done, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Sara ended up being another S tier support unit. Alright, and lastly, most importantly, and the main reason why you probably even clicked on this video in the first place, we have the next Archon, Baal. Baal looks like she's going to take Genshin Impact by storm. Not only is she quite literally a god, she also appears to be our first unit completely focused on burst uptime and damage. While there are other batteries in the game, Baal is the first to truly feel like a universal battery. In fact, her entire kit revolves around energy recharge. Her skill deploys the Eye of Stormy Judgment that provides a coordinated attack whenever she or a party member hits an opponent. This damage is AoE electro damage and even buffs party members' elemental burst damage based on the energy particles received. And it has an uptime of 25 seconds with a 10-second cooldown, essentially meaning it will always be up. This alone makes her an insane support unit. Sometimes a character's burst can account for up to 50% of that character's total damage output. So having a character that not only can make sure that characters that struggle with high burst costs can consistently recharge their burst, but also increase their burst's overall damage? Do I even really need to explain why that's incredibly OP? But on top of all this, her burst changes her weapon from a polearm to a sword that increases her normal charge and plunge damage into burst damage that scales off how many stacks of resolve you've managed to accumulate up to a grand total of 60 stacks. And on top of this, she actively restores energy to her entire team every second she hits an enemy during her burst. And although the damage window is pretty small, it looks like the damage multipliers and the energy restoration is going to make it very worth it, and makes her perfect for high damage quick swap teams. In my personal opinion, besides Xiangling and possibly Venti and Kazuha, Baal is looking like the closest thing to a must pull that we've gotten in Genshin Impact to date. She looks like she's going to be an absolute unit that's really going to shine and add a lot of value to your account, whether you're free to play or a filthy whale. Honestly, I think that this is a very safe banner for old and new players alike to pull on, because not just one, but all of these units are extremely viable and are definitely going to help you clear endgame content. Plus, I mean, just look at her. Bulbasaur supremacy. The only thing that I am a little bit worried about is the fact that Kokomi is right around the corner, and it looks like miHoYo might be adding some obstacles into our way that requires healing. But maybe I should just save that for a whole other video. Alright, if you guys enjoyed the video, feel free to leave me a like and comment down below. I'd really appreciate it, and it really does help my channel grow. And if you want to see more Genshin Impact content, feel free to subscribe. I'd love to have you here. Alright guys, that's all for now. Best wishes. Bye.